So we all know that the refereeing situation was absolutely horrific last year in the WNBA. We all know that it was absolutely terrible, that their inconsistencies was bad, that they were allowing players get mauled, and worst of all, that the referees literally decided the championship. It was over. The Minnesota Lynx had won the WNBA championship, and the referees decided they wanted to make it about themselves. So anyway, today, we're going to be talking about what the WNBA are doing, try to fix that. Before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to hit 40,500 by Christmas. If we can get to 40,330 by the end of the day, it's only 19 more subscribers. That'd be incredible. But if you guys didn't see, the WNBA are hiring 2 referee-related jobs. So, as you can see here, there's an operations analyst, which is, obviously, there's no salary there, but performance and development advisor, 140 to 145k a year, which is big. And it says here for the position summary, reporting to the WNBA referee position performance and development leader, the WNBA referee performance and development advisor will participate in all aspects of performance and development, including training and evaluating referees. During the WNBA season, the primary focus will be to enhance the overall performance of the referee staff by providing developmental feedback to referees. Additionally, the role will assist with off-season, pre-season, and in-season clinics, camps, and candidate evaluations for hire for the WNBA. Responsibilities: observe WNBA games in arena, online, or on TV. Has assigned to complete evaluation forms in each official with video examples and developmental comments. Observe and identify notable plays, performance trends, deficiencies, growth opportunities. Needed. Absolutely needed. We saw Kennedy Carter's, and I mean this, like, look, Kennedy Carter's was I don't think, like, it's very unlikely, you're not going to really hurt somebody unless you're Nikola Jokic's size and you do what he did to Markieff Morris. You're not really going to hurt someone what Kennedy Carter did to Caitlin Clark. But the referee's calling it a common foul. That's where the big issue is. And even with the Dijonais eye poke, I still think if the reason why the Alyssa Thomas choke slam was not seen as egregious as these other situations is because the referees made the right call on the day. I think the Alyssa Thomas should have been a suspension. I think she should have been suspended, but they didn't. But I think that on the day, it should have been called, it was the right call was to just kick her out of the game. But we saw Caitlin Clark, again, the eye poke. If you want to be it was the right call for the Dijonais Carting situation because it was excessive. There was a swipe downwards towards Caitlin Clark's head. It was a flagrant one. Even unintentional, it was a downward swipe towards Caitlin Clark's head. Because we saw technical fouls be called for Caitlin Clark for her getting fouled and just flailing and just happening to catch somebody. And that's the right call. That's the right call. I think when the double tech with Jackie Young and Caitlin, when Jackie Young smacked Caitlin in the face and Caitlin smacked Jackie Young in the face, they're the right calls. And the reason why they're not being amplified is because they were the right calls. The reason why the Diamond to Shields, as much as the Diamond to Shields one, it was because it was 3 in a row, and the referees, like, she just shoved her on the break. Like, that's probably flagrant 2, but I'm not going to complain that much of flagrant 1. But the Kennedy Carter one was the most obvious flagrant 2 foul in the history of basketball, and they called it a common foul. A common foul. We saw so many things, and, like, again, I'm just pointing it out because obviously we're talking about situations that blew up, but we have to also talk about the WNBA finals. Like, game 1 was decided, like, game 1, Stewie missed the free throw when it went to overtime, but Breanna Steward, there was no, like, I'll stand by this, that was not a foul, especially just to end the game. You don't call that a foul. If anything, like, maybe there's a foul later, but if there's an offensive foul before, there's a defensive foul even. You just let play go on. They're both fouling each other in that inbounds play, and they gave Breanna Stewart the free throws, which she missed, and they lost. She missed one of them and lost the game. So that's game 1 was decided, the refs tried to decide game 1. Game 4. Was it 4? Game 3 was decided by the Sabrina step back, fair enough. But actually, honestly, a 50-50 call down 2 to put the Lynx on the line to hit 2 free throws in game 3, but I don't really care that much because it was to tie the game and New York got another chance. Game 4, the Minnesota Lynx got what was, I'm going to say, a ridiculous call. That game should have went to overtime. The game's tied. And there's a shot goes up and it's rebounded. Someone's trying to box out Bridget Carlton. They're just doing a box out and Bridget Carlton gets there first and she just kind of flaps at the ball and falls over. And I'm like, you just called that in game 4 of the finals? And then in game 5, Breanna Steward takes 6 steps into a travel and then gets blocked. And the games should have been over. The Lynx should have been celebrating their 5th WNBA championship. But the Liberty get to celebrate in what was, for lack of a better word, looked like it was rigged. And if you look at that whole finals, 3 of the 5 games, the referees tried to decide the game. Like, they're horrific. They're absolutely horrific. And I don't know what's going to happen. We all know the Michael Jordan ref. The bald referee that wears number 23, who is the worst ref in the league. He was the ref that he missed so many calls. Like, the amount of times where you look at, like, bad calls and you're like, Jordan ref. Jordan ref is there to see it. There was one where, on the replay, they called it an offensive foul, where Alyssa Thomas, they were like, it's a hard screen. She sees Caitlin Clark's head and she shoulder barges it. And I'm like, man, that is a UFC. That is how Conor McGregor broke Cerrone's eye socket. I'm just like, they didn't call it a flagrant one because it was like, oh, it's a common offensive foul. And they were like, oh, considering overturning it to a no call. And I'm like, she didn't set the screen normal. And they were like, oh, it was a moving screen. There's a difference between kind of stepping to the side and doing that and hitting shoulder barge in someone's face. And I'm like, Alyssa Thomas is the dirtiest player in the WNBA. Let's just call a spade there. She's the dirtiest player in the WNBA. But she can do whatever the hell she wants. No suspension there. And I think that as bad as anything, when things are escalated, the WNBA has to do a much, much better job of things. They do. There are suspension-worthy things that they're just scared to do. There are, depending on the players, they're going to be scared to call flagrant fouls on them. Like, there's so many things where it's like referees just, like the Ezzy Magbagor one, where Ezzy Magbagor blocked Caitlin Clark and it followed through and clocked her in the face. And you're like, that is a flagrant one. You can't follow through at somebody's you can't effectively follow through downwards, and it wasn't closed fist, but like, if you block someone's shot and then after you block their shot continue to follow through on their face, it's like, that's a flagrant foul. There are flagrant fouls, and it's like, there's so many ridiculous things that are being called. Like, the referees are more worried about people frustrated at themselves hitting the rim post and being like, they call, how many technical fouls did they call? That happens probably once every second game, and they decide to call maybe 2 of those technical fouls on the season. They're too worried about that than they are about actually refereeing the game of basketball. And it's just so bad. Like, do you guys not even remember the Marina Mabry one? When Marina Mabry just hacked Caitlin Clark. I think it was in game 2 where Caitlin Clark's running in a lane and Mabry just hacks her. Like, she doesn't go for the ball. She does a smart thing. Like, Caitlin Clark has an open layup otherwise. Marina Mabry decides, I'm just going to hack her, make her earn it at the line. No call. Like, what is this? What is this? And like, obviously there was awful situations all league round. It was not referees against Caitlin Clark because the referees were just horrendous. They were horrendous. Like, I'm just even trying to think of some ridiculously bad calls that were missed. Like, Aja Wilson can literally just throw the ball up and flail and she gets free throws. But in fairness to Angel Reese has no whistle. The amount of phantom fouls Aaliyah Boston got called on last season. Like, as in, she's not near the ball. The shot goes up over her and nothing happens and she gets called for the foul. And it's like, she has been called for about 5 just phantom fouls on the year. Fouls where, like, nobody touches anyone and Aaliyah Boston gets called for them. And Christy Stide's inability to challenge was mad last year. But the referees are awful. Thank God they're doing something to try to stop them. Or fix them, or make them better at least.